Good afternoon. Fade to Black breaking news for this Wednesday, February 28th, 2024. This is all of the news that you need. I'm Jimmy Church. All right, let's get straight to it. Tonight on the show, Dane Wigington is with us. We're going to be talking about, he's back. It's been a minute, too. We're going to be talking about global climate intervention, all of that and much more tonight with Dane. You're not going to want to miss that. And let's get straight to it on this day in history. 1953. Wow, only 1953. Cambridge University scientists Watson and Crick announce they have determined the double helix structure of DNA, the molecule examining and containing human genes. They won the Nobel Prize in 1962. Wow, 1953. That's absolutely incredible. When I was in high school, right, biology, science class, and we discussed Watson and Crick and DNA, and you stop and you think about that. That was, okay, so that was 1978, 1979. It was 20 years before that? Wow, that's absolutely incredible. Fader fact. The Kerman Telephone Company in California continued to use manual pull and plug cord switchboards. Yeah. The owner's refusal until 1991, the owner's refusal to adopt a newer technology was because he didn't want to lay off his loyal switchboard operators. Until 1991. That is your fader fact. Let's get to the breaking news. Rest in peace, Odysseus. That's right. Once sunlight can no longer reach the lander's solar panels, operations will end. Intuitive Machines expects that to happen sometime today. The mission, part of NASA's effort to boost the lunar economy, was supposed to last until at least tomorrow, when lunar nighttime sets in. NASA has 6 experiments on board. That was a 1-week trip. But at least we made it. Rapid growth of the intense wildfires in Texas are burning across portions of not only the Panhandle, but now into Oklahoma, and it's been captured from space yesterday. Satellite data and imaging shows how wind gusts of 40 to 60 miles per hour push flames east quickly before a strong cold front sliced through and shifted the wind direction. All fires then also changed direction and spread southward during the afternoon. The smokehouse fire has torn across hundreds of thousands of acres of Texas land since igniting just Monday afternoon. Its explosive spread is tied directly to the dry, warm, and windy conditions that dominated the Texas Panhandle Monday and Tuesday. Since the fire started, it has spread at an average rate of 150 football fields every single minute. Wow, our thoughts are with everybody in Texas. Well, it just went down. Went down right here in Southern California, Pacific Part in Santa Monica, California specifically. They were presented pounds of pistachios as the competitors of the Major League Eating cracked open over 1,600 nuts, including a new world record for consumption of the nuts. Or are they? Pistachios are not true nuts. And I've seen the movie Best in Show, but anyway, in fact, they're the edible seed of the pistachio tree fruit. Yeah, now James Webb, not the telescope, the 5th ranked eater in the world from Sydney, Australia, shattered the previous record of 188 pistachios eaten in 8 minutes. With an astonishing 338 pistachios, taking home the wonderful Pistachios Get Crackin' Eating Championship title and a $5,000 check. Pine nuts. Pistachio nuts, which are not a nut. No, it's a tree fruit. A 13-year-old built a death ray using a 2,000-year-old concept from Greek inventor Archimedes. Brendan Senner, a Canadian middle schooler, designed a science fair project to see whether such a feat was possible with a miniature version of the death ray. A historian in the 12th century wrote that, and I'm going to quote, by tilting a kind of mirror towards the sun, Archimedes burned up the whole Roman fleet, end quote. Well, in his scale down model, Senner used heating lamps to represent the sun, makes sense. Small concave mirrors reflected the light onto a piece of cardboard with an X marking the target. So, with 4 of those concave mirrors, he raised the X target to 128 degrees Fahrenheit. That's right. Brandon should have been a consultant on Mythbusters. I'll leave that right there. Gusto, right? Gusto, 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 not from the movie Cell Block 4. I know what you're thinking. Gusto has just broken NASA's scientific balloon record for days in flight. The Gusto mission ended February 26th at 6:24 p.m. Eastern Time, setting a new record for NASA, a heavy lift, long duration balloon flight at float for 57 days, 7 hours, and 38 minutes. The payload descended by parachute landing safely on the ground in Antarctica. Any recovery effort, while not required by mission for mission success, will be coordinated through the United States National Science Foundation. The mission successfully launched from Antarctica on December 31st. Gusto is mapping a large part of the Milky Way galaxy, including the galactic center and the nearby Large Magellanic Cloud. The telescope is equipped with sensitive detectors for carbon, oxygen, and nitrogen emission lines, which you need for the mapping of the Milky Way, right? But there's no word if China shot it down. Arizona may be on the verge of prohibiting the sale of lab-grown meat. That's right. That's right. They don't want any lab-grown meat in local grocery stores. And it's all based, at least in part, on the claims by the measure sponsor that billionaire Bill Gates and the World Economic Forum, and I quote, have openly declared war on our ranching, end quote. On a vote this past week, the state house approved a proposal to keep those products off the shelves of Arizona stores. Looking for property in Arizona right now. Strictly speaking, HB 2121 would not make these products that are slowly becoming available totally off limits to Arizonans. Nope. Residents could still buy them if they drive across state lines. Meaning they got to travel there in person or order them through the mail. But you can forget about obtaining them locally. Man, the thought of lab-grown meat. All right, moving on. And finally, I'll leave you with this. In 1593, German mathematician Christopher Clavius made a small mark that would change mathematics forever. That's right. I'm talking about the decimal point. In a sign table in his work, it was called astrolabium. Astrolabium. Yeah. I have a hard time with Latin. He indicated the fractionization of a whole number by writing what has come to be known as the very first use of the decimal point. There is, however, just one problem. According to new painstaking research by historian Glenn Van Broom, I can't talk today. I can't talk. I'm just excited. Can't talk. Brummelin of Trinity Western University This wasn't the first use of the decimal point. Is this thing on? I'm talking about decimal points. Decimal points excite me. They do. All right. After poring painstakingly over historical documents, Van Brummelen found much earlier instances of the dot. He did. In the 1440s, a young Italian merchant by the name of Giovanni Bianchini penned several astronomical works that made extensive and increasingly refined use of decimal points. He wrote 5 major works between 1440 and 1460, filled with dots, decimal points. Yes, and you should be excited about this too. At that time in Europe, astronomy was performed using, are you ready? 60. They had a system of 60 as the base compared to our system today, which is based on units of 10. Now, we still use 60, by the way, today. We do. Before you go, wait a minute. 60 doesn't make sense. Well, what about 60 seconds? Right? To make up a minute. What about 60 minutes to make up an hour? And when you work this into a circle, it actually works with astronomy. But anyway, Giovanni describes the use of interpolation to find the sine and cosine of an arc. He casually drops the number 10.4. That's right, in 1440. Think about this. And he explains how to multiply it by 8, giving the answer 83. Now, if you do the math, the product of 10.4 and 8 is actually 83.2, but you round that down to 80. You get it, right? But his work shows that he is using the decimal point and understanding it the same way we use it and understand it today. It's such a mind-blowing discovery. So much so, I'm talking to you about it right now. And it shows that Giovanni's role in the development of modern mathematics may have been totally overlooked and forgotten. That's why I chase knowledge. That's right. We know nothing. History is everything. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Fade to Black breaking news. This is all of the news that you need for this Wednesday, February 28, 2024. Fade to Black breaking news is brought to you by and produced by Renee Neumann. Tonight on the show, the global climate intervention with Dane Wigington. But for now, all I've got is Go Back Lee Tappy.